Time. I've been thinking a lot about time recently and what it means in life, especially last October when I went to a family wedding in Southern California, where I grew up, even though I was born in Vietnam like my parents, who married there decades ago before bringing their family to the United States. We attended a family wedding, and my parents, if you know them, are super antisocial people. Not people who like to go out, and definitely not people who like to dance. But the wedding reception, there was one of those dance events where they invited all the married couples onto the dance floor, asked them to dance. So for whatever reason, I decided I'm gonna push my parents and force them onto the dance floor. And they played one of those games where they slowly asked couples to leave the dance floor based upon the length of their marriage. Well, lo and behold, my parents, the people who do not dance, were the last couple standing with 59 years of marriage. So the entire wedding reception applauded, like you are doing right now, to commemorate and appreciate their time together. And it made me really think about the power of time to measure progress, change, evolution in life from one country to another. And time is something that humans have always had a fascination with. We created in ancient times stone structures to measure equinoxes and solstices directed with the sun. And in ancient Egypt, they created the sundial to measure sunrise to sunset in 12 equal parts. Time became much more mechanical in our ability to measure it, even getting to the point of creating an atomic clock in the 1960s. So accurate, it could measure time down to a millisecond across hundreds and hundreds of years. Time then went to the sky with the launch of satellite and Navstar systems to synchronize our time across time zones and connect the world. Across all of this measurement of time, so one key thing is important. Time allows us to provide order to events, such as the order of entries in an accounting ledger, payments in and out, or records of property transfer from one person to another at a date in time. And it is that order that allows us to actually detect truth, prevent dishonesty and fraud by detecting changes in the order of events. And it is this power of time that actually underpins blockchain technology in ways people do not really understand, but in ways today I want to share with you with my time, which is to express to you how time really drives blockchain, explain how the blockchain I and my organization support, BSV, is actually scaling that power, and finally, leading you to some applications as examples of how time and blockchain power can enable a better world, not just here in Saudi Arabia, but all across the entire globe. So time. Remember the days when people used to actually timestamp cards to measure when you went into work and report when you arrived, or to report and record when mail arrived in a mailroom? Well, timestamping became digital because of the rise of the internet and digital technology in the 1990s. And it was two famed scientists from Northern California, Stuart Haber and Scott Stornetta, who asked a very important question in the 1990s. As more and more data and documents were becoming digital in storage, how do we verify the document is true, authentic, accurate? So they published these three research papers in the 1990s, which evaluated a system for digital timestamping. Instead of timestamping in paper, physical form, timestamping documents to confirm their existence as of a moment in time. And as a result, they also came up with the concept of distributing the record keeping of time so people could not cheat and falsify when a document existed. And it is in these papers that birthed the concept for the first time to the world of a blockchain, a distributed way of keeping records that digitally timestamp when something existed or when something happened. And this is what a blockchain really is. We hear a lot about it in the world because of digital currencies and NFT trading, but all the time this blockchain is a data system that is a distributed timestamp server, taking a ledger of records, whether it be payment or other forms of data transactions, and having that record, date and timestamp when an event happened, and then distributing it. Here you'll see is a picture from a Block Explorer, which is a web-based interface where you can actually see, like in a Google search engine, records on a blockchain transaction, and they are marked by the date and time of the block in which the data is entered. But unlike the traditional database methods of keeping these records, a blockchain distributes it so that multiple nodes, multiple participants are keeping and updating the ledger. So there's not just one person in the middle, as you can see highlighted, but many who are updating the ledger, making it harder to cheat. And because the data is published to the world, it is harder to falsify. And that provides the two key powers of blockchain technology: a public ledger that actually reports data, time-stamped in order, providing information that creates more honesty as well as efficiency by eliminating intermediaries. How are we actually driving this power with the BSV blockchain? That's what I want to talk to you about next. Well, BSV has a very simple thesis. We are a public blockchain, not a permissioned ledger or private database. And we're massively scaling to be the world's most efficient data network, not just for digital payments, but all forms of data applications. If you've been following the blockchain space, you'll know that most of the blockchains out there provide a lot of promise, but have trouble scaling, such as the Ethereum network. Well, we are massively scaling so that we can provide payments as well as data applications. But our ecosystem understands something much more important, that the blockchain network protocol is like a data network protocol, just like IP protocol drives the internet. And especially with the rise of IPv6, we can enable a better internet by integrating the network protocol of the BSV blockchain with IPv6 protocol and future IP data network rules. And this is critical to do at scale, meaning the ability to have data and transaction capacity for large volumes of people and companies. The Ethereum network a few years ago was foreseen as the main business network that would take blockchain to another level. But it has trouble scaling, so the gas fees, the amount of money someone has to pay to put a transaction on the chain, whether it's data or smart contract, a token, an NFT, it's both high and unreliable. On the screen, you'll see a chart of the transaction or gas fees over the last year. They have vacillated from a low of $3.80 to almost $70 to put one transaction on the Ethereum network. You cannot plan a mass-scale blockchain application for a company, a country, like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or the world, if you don't know whether the transaction is going to cost on any given day $3 or $70. And you certainly cannot create an application at massive scale, such as, for example, managing all of the COVID vaccination data in this entire kingdom. That's not sustainable. On BSV, because we have scaled so much the capacity of our chain, the median transaction fee last year and currently to send a payment transaction on our network is 1/25th to 1/100th of a US cent. That's 1/25th to 1/100th of a US cent. Almost free. What does that mean? It means you can create a much more powerful network for all kinds of data, not just a payment transaction on the blockchain. This chart reflects the mean transaction fee across all of last year on the BSV network. When you put more data into a transaction, such as a JPEG file, a movie file, you pay more because you pay for amount of data. But even for the variety of data transactions we're seeing on our network, you'll see that the mean transaction fee for an entire day ranged last year from 3/100th of a US cent to a high of 5 cents. That's still very, very efficient. That means that we are scaling better than any other public chain. Later this year, through the introduction of enterprise-class node software for our blockchain, we expect to be able to demonstrate, we've already done it on the test networks, but on the main network, 50 to 100,000 transactions per second, faster multiples of the Visa network processing speed. At fast speed, low transaction fees of a 25th to 100th of a US cent, and that means you can power new applications for the internet of micropayments. Blockchain is not necessary to send $1 million US anywhere in the world. But blockchain's true power will be more useful if you can create applications where you can send a penny for someone's social media applications and other information. And we're seeing, of course, lots of blockchain diverse use cases on BSV. Here's a range from payments, identity managed, data integrity, and all kinds of other things. We are generating huge transaction volume. On January 12th now, we're exceeding most of the other leading blockchains and having more than 50% of the transaction capacity of the main networks, and we're growing even bigger. Finally, let me tell you about BSV applications that are using this power at scale for a better world. In the healthcare sector, VXPass is a startup company here with us at Leap, which is using our blockchain to manage the tracking of COVID vaccination records, which are very important to know the date and time that you received dose 1, dose 2, particularly a booster dose, and provide that information publicly available to people across the world while still protecting patient privacy, using a public ledger that marks time. They're gaining traction across the world. They've been recognized as the app for the official rollout of COVID vaccinations in the African country of Lesotho, as well as an authorized app for the city of San Francisco. In the UAE, we have a project going with the University of Sharjah to track academic and professional certification tracking on blockchain, to prevent fraud, but also so people have more real-time access to their academic and professional information, to know whether a particular certification given at a date and time is still valid, let's say a year or 2 years later. Again, an important capability if you can mark time on a blockchain that can handle lots and lots of records efficiently. Cargo tracking can be benefited with the BSV blockchain. From Nigeria and the United Kingdom, one of the companies here with us is Dominium, which provides government scale solutions, including a cargo tracking system to track the delivery of goods from a marine port onto land to the final destination. They started on a private database, are migrating to the BSV blockchain so that everyone across the supply chain can see in real time the journey of the goods. And more importantly, this accelerates the government's ability to collect customs tax and generate more revenue. We can even advance environmental sustainability with time and data. Weather SV is a company out of Australia on our blockchain, which allows you to open up data channels and pay to record weather data, such as from here in Riyadh to the blockchain, creating a data marketplace where people can then access that data from cities across the world to study environmental conditions. And that data is valuable because you know the weather of today's date and time. And they're doing something more. They're working with an environmental consulting firm to have IoT devices attached to trees in a city in Australia, record data from the trees, such as carbon sequestration information, to create a data marketplace that will hopefully help drive better environmentally conscious decisions using the power of that ledger. Tuvalu is a small country in the South Pacific that we are helping with companies in our space, including a company called Nguyen, to build the world's first national digital ledger on the BSV blockchain. They're a small country of a few islands, but they're at risk of sinking because of global climate change. Preparing for that possibility and also to modernize their country, they're taking all their government and citizen records, moving them to the blockchain on BSV with our help. We can also drive financial inclusion and financial services. Because of the efficiency of our ledger, a company in South Africa called Sentby has a remittance product called Minute Money, where it costs very little to send any amount of money anywhere in the world to family and friends, which is especially important for migrant workers. Instead of paying 6 to 8% of the amount, they pay charge a flat amount of 50 Rand or $3.25 in the US, making it much more efficient to send remittance anywhere. They're operating in about 8 African countries. Micropayments can be powered even with things like video games. Haste Arcade is a company in the United States which has a leaderboard payout system, so you can pay to play a video game. And if you get on the leaderboard, anyone who comes after you who does not beat your score, you get a tiny little fraction of their payment, allowing you to play to earn and empower people all over the world. This is done with esports, with a game called Crypto Fights, which is driving a lot of the transactions on our BSV network. And you can even put NFT assets actually on chain, where you don't realize the people who are buying NFTs on Ethereum, those assets don't actually store on chain because it's too expensive. Because of our greater data capacity, NFTs like you're seeing here on screen can be digitally stored on chain. And it means you can do it for very, very low fees and advance more technical power. Last year, Nifty Jigs minted 175,000 digital art NFTs on our blockchain, and they did so for a total cost of not millions of dollars, which would cost on Ethereum, but $175 US, opening up a lot more promotional, charitable, and public sector use of NFTs. You can even put entire music files as an NFT on chain and change the way we distribute payments to all of the music rights holders. And in the metaverse, we're bringing a lot of location to life with companies such as Transmira. I was at the CES trade show in Las Vegas, and they body scanned me to create this digital avatar, which is not currently, but hopefully will soon be on the blockchain. And then I can import it across multiple applications because the data lives on chain, and you know the date and time at which I created the avatar or improved it. They're also taking this technology to bigger scale, not just people, but with entire cities. They're partnering with Aerometrics to digitally scan an entire city, such as Los Angeles here, hotels, stadiums, schools, hospitals, to create environments where we can virtually connect for commerce, paying for goods and services, get teaching, learning, medical appointments, and consultation through hospitals. This is all the start, but they needed a blockchain that could scale big and handle micropayments. And let me conclude by telling you how this is going to change the internet. IPv6 is the latest iteration of internet protocol because we need more IP addresses for all of those connected devices we have in our life, and IPv4 ran out. We believe that as the world is growing with IPv6, BSV provides the data network protocol and micropayment system that can integrate with internet protocol, wrapping around the TCP and IP layers of the internet protocol to provide data from the blockchain and micropayments that can be sent across the internet. This is so important that we are proud to announce that we are partnering with the IPv6 Forum associated with the prestigious IEEE organization to formulate joint programs around the world to teach about the combined power of IPv6 and the BSV blockchain. Especially important for Saudi Arabia because you have one of the highest penetrations of IPv6 adoption. 51.2% of your telecom users here have IPv6, and they probably don't even know it. The chair of the IPv6 Forum, Latif Ladid, could not be here with us this week, but he sent this message to you. IPv6 is good for blockchain in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is good for BSV and IPv6. Education is so important, and so that's why I'm also pleased to announce that we'll be signing a memorandum of understanding this week, tomorrow, with the Saudi Digital Academy and the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to launch a full-scale BSV blockchain academy based here in Riyadh to help advance the understanding and adoption for students, developers, business executives, and government leaders about how this blockchain can power the future of the world you see, Vision 2030 in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So to wrap up, whether you are from Tuvalu, a powerful kingdom such as Saudi Arabia, or Vietnam, like my parents, who decades ago moved to the United States and saw the passage of time with a life lived there, children raised, and much to be proud of as they continue dancing, I hope, into the future. It makes me really remember the power of time. It's something that humans have always found important. We look to the skies, to the moon, to the sun, building structures oriented to a solstice, devices that measure time in 12 equal parts from sunrise to sunset. And in the dark, we actually needed the flow of water, the flow of sand, the flow of melting wax, reminding us that time flows continuously. And then came mechanical clock towers, swinging pendulums with harmonic motion, a device small enough for our wrist, a clock that is atomic, digital. Then we looked back to the skies to mark moments we want to commemorate and celebrate. Time organizes our lives, measures speed and performance, provides order to events, and reveals dishonesty, provides truth. And time connects the world through a common system. Using time, blockchain connects the world with a new way to record payments and data through a distributed ledger of transactions organized into blocks connected across time. A distributed time-stamp server, a time chain, powering a new way to record digital payments and all forms of data action in chronological order, providing data transparency and a universal source of truth. For too long, however, blockchain's power has been restricted by those who believe it could not scale, could not have a bigger vision. Now, after all this time, blockchain's power is finally here with BSV. And it is time to make blockchain useful for everyone. It is time to build business and government systems that are more honest and efficient. It is time to create a more advanced Saudi Arabia and a better world with the BSV blockchain. It's about time.